Multi-tenant consents. Wow, the next concept. We've spoken about grievances and grievance redressals, and now we have to talk about a multi-tenant consent architecture with respect to consent management. Multiple services, multiple business units for the same organization. Welcome to my YouTube channel where you daily see new content on data privacy. And as I said, let's talk about multi-tenant consent architecture today. Scaling with control. So why do big enterprises struggle sometimes? They have multiple business units. They have multiple services. Each would have their own ways of collecting information. And they're already using. Now, of course, the government is not going to say that you have to do everything overnight. But in the next 2 years, changing all the interfaces, bringing everything down to a single interface may or may not be very easy depending on the scale of the organization. Therefore, it has become important for the enterprises to see if they can find a common place how their data can be handled. So, like I said, multiple applications, multiple business units, and each of them have been collecting data independently. We know so many places. If I talk of one large financial organization that offers me insurance, that offers me banking, that offers me loans, all of them come and do all data collection separately. Several times you would say, I have a single relationship manager, you have all my information. It's still very interesting, with or without talking about privacy, that my primary phone number for my bank accounts is different and my primary phone number for my insurance policy is different, which is strange. There should have been a common platform, I feel that as a user, where you have taken all my information, I created a customer ID for me. Now, if I buy insurance, the information should come from there, right? Now, additionally, you need consents. That means each one of these will pick up independent consents. Multi consent, multi-tenant in an organization across CRMs, across portals, across applications should try and see that if they can collect a single process of consent. There could be variations with respect to the regions, with respect to the legalities, state, country. I may not talk of country right now because we are these days talking very specifically about DBTP Act, but at least states. What does multi-tenant mean? I think you partially discussed it. You have isolated business units, logically isolated business units, but belonging to the same business. And then they are sharing the core services, which is a good option, not as relevant to the banking example I gave, but if they are sharing core services, that is, they are authorizing, they are collecting logs, APIs from the same place, and then having a central policy engine, a central database, then the data sharing and consent movement, syncing, sharing along across all business units is a very important aspect. What is the role of consent manager with respect to multi-tenant consents? They should issue tenant specific tokens. We have been talking of token based consents. Now, the tenant specific consent or token should be created and shared, and they need to now get prepared for user access, for reporting, for dashboards, for consent information, revocation, both on the tenant level as well as the enterprise level. So provide tenant specific dashboards, maintain consent status logs, enforce the revocation rules. Again, tenant specific as well as the global across the enterprise. What are the design and policy considerations for them? The access control is at the tenant level. Maybe you have a super admin who needs everything, but ideally at the tenant level. Then, as I mentioned earlier, also tenant specific as well as global audit trails, tenant specific as well as global grievance mechanisms, performance monitoring to avoid any cross tenant lags. Right? The systems should be robust enough that there is no cross tenant lag. It becomes the most important pillar of privacy organization because consent is critical. We spoke about 250 crores of penalties under DBTP Act, And for larger enterprises, isolated business units, multi-tenant is important. As a checklist for the implementation of multi-tenant consent, tenant ID should be there for each consent token. Encryption keys could be shared. Having a rotation policy and a repository that has the rotated encryption keys to ensure that all old new data could be decrypted, at least within the organization, actually within the organization. So then the encryption keys need role-based access, the repository needs the role-based access. Now that needs to be sure both on the tenant level as well as on the global level. They should meet the SLAs for intra-tenant sync of the data. There has to be proper definition about the roles and definitions, responsibilities, and segregation of duties across the organization for various tenants. Multi-tenant is a good option. It helps organizations scale without losing any control, and organizations, larger ones, should get ready, start deploying, or at least planning on multi-tenant systems to help their growth, to help their scaling, as well as to ensure that they are able to meet consent management requirements as set by the regulators. That's about the initial of multi-tenant architecture. We'll get into a bit more details, maybe look into a couple of examples as well. So stay tuned, subscribe to my channel, and if you like this video, please press the bell and the like icon. Thank you.